Good evening. Thank you for coming. Sorry about the chaos out there. Something we thought it was going to be rehearsal night, so we were a little unexpected, but we rallied. So my name is Maureen Aziel, and I'm the Program and Education Manager for New Canaan Cares. And I was going to introduce Tween Development, but she left, but she's the Executive Director. If you guys are unfamiliar with CARES, our mission is to advance the health and well-being of youth and families through responsive educational programming that supports and strengthens parenting skills, positive youth development, and healthy lifestyles. Before I introduce Dr. Craig, I just wanted to thank Sachs PTC. It's been fun working with Colleen and Elizabeth. You're all in good hands. And in addition, I just wanted to acknowledge the partnership with Elm Street Books, that they were here tonight. So I thought that was really nice as more of a community event. And also the New Canaan Library. So we're going to have follow-up conversations, and Dr. Craig is going to speak about that towards the end of it. So you guys can listen to that and get all the information as well. So we're excited to have you here tonight. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist based in Lower Fairfield and County in New York City. She is a native to Richfield, Minnesota, and has been practicing for more than 20 years. And she's worked with children, adolescents, adults, couples, families in a variety of settings. Dr. Craig specializes in the treatment of relationship issues such as communication, conflict resolution, and infidelity, as well as individual challenges like depression, anxiety, addiction, and life-work harmony. There are three things that she knows for sure. One, we're not defined by our adversities, but rather by how we handle them. Two, taking healthy risks, setting boundaries, and stepping outside our comfort zone will bring fulfillment in both life and relationships. And three, make the most of today, whatever that means to you, no matter how small it seems. Dr. Craig lives in Darien, Connecticut with her husband, 5-year-old daughter, 12-year-old son, 10 chickens, 1 dog, 2 cats, and 2 fish. Did I get that right? You got it.
Thank you for coming out tonight and to Sachs Middle School. I'm at Darien Middle School. Don't hate me, though. Oh, it's funny with COVID. I have been there once, and I'm about to leave into the high school this year or next year. So I've been in this school as much as I've been in here. So I did something a little different with this. It is coming out of my book. So if you've read the book or you're going to read the book, this is kind of the clip note version of it. But I didn't do a lot of words this time. I did a lot of pictures. So you can tell me what you think of that. And my big iconic idea with this is I want you to kind of imagine this experience more than take notes. In other words, I want you to get your limbic system involved and not your prefrontal cortex. So I'm helping you by limiting the words that you can process in your prefrontal cortex. I'll tell you more about that. So, I've worked in juvenile corrections. That's where I started my career, which was amazing. I worked in community-based agency counseling. I worked in rural special education high school department, and all the families have kind of the same request. They come in with, we want communication better. There's a conflict going on. We don't understand this part of our kid, but ultimately what they're always looking for is an emotional connection. So that's kind of our big umbrella that we're going to talk about today. Because if we can parent from that place of emotional connection, we're going to build something pretty fabulous with our tweens that'll last over the years. For them, it'll bring confidence, empathy, and resiliency. And for our relationship, it'll bring a closeness, a security that they come to us when they're older, especially in those teen years. And I'll pepper some of that. And I'll talk about why that's so important. I'm going to focus on the tween years. How many are in their oldest is a tween? Okay, and then some of you have teenagers now? Okay. So this will be interesting because there is a difference. And when I wrote the book, I was gonna target teens. And when I started to do the research and I thought about the kids in my office and at the time, I think my son was 9, he's 13 now, he had a birthday, but there's something very distinctly different between the tween and the teen years. So I'm not gonna park on that tonight. But those of you who now have teenagers know exactly what I'm talking about. So I'll talk a little bit about tween development. And then I will give you some tips and techniques you can take home and practice. And what I say is pick 1 or 2 max, right? I'm going to give you a list, a menu of things, take 2. Because what happens is we often take a whole bunch, we try one, it doesn't work, we try it again, we're trying all this stuff and we get overwhelmed and then just kind of bag the whole thing. So instead, what I think is more effective is take 1 or 2 ideas, keep it super simple and like practice it for a couple weeks and see what you notice happening. And then lastly, I always get the question, and especially in a first session, people will say, I know the answer. I read the books, I listen to the podcast, I follow Dr. Becky on Instagram, and yet I still, get it wrong. And I can't understand why it's not computing. So I hope we'll cover that at the end. And what always happens is in these talks, that gets about a nanosecond, which is about what we give ourselves in life, right? We take care of everybody and we leave ourselves just a few nanoseconds at the end. So I'm gonna do that same form, unfortunately, especially since we're starting late. Okay. When I say emotional connection, what comes to mind? Yeah. Empathy, excellent.
A warm feeling.
Warm feeling, I like that, yeah.
Open communication.
Open communication. There we're getting a little heady, right? Open communication. Communication comes from where?
Talking and sharing authentic stuff. Feeling like heart stuff.
Yes, authenticity, right? Feeling the heart stuff. What you're tapping into it, Maya Angelou said it beautiful. People will forget what you said, what you did, but people will never forget how it made you feel. Right? So if there's nothing else you take from today, right? This is really the concept that we're finding in research matters most. So even if you get it wrong all day long, but your kid feels like you're in it with them, they're going to feel secure. And when they feel secure, they go out into the world in a more confident way. They're more willing to fail and get up and wipe themselves off because they know you've got their back. So we're going to talk about this feelings. Feelings, the word we give it. It's actually in science, they call it emotion because emotion is what happens in the body. Okay. So your kid comes home from school, there's an interaction, and in that interaction, your brain takes that experience. And in this example, where there's a relaxing response, we enjoy seeing each other. It sends messages throughout the body. Right? They call this the parasympathetic system. And it's amazing because when we have a giggle or when we have joy or when we listen to them or when they share their silly story and we laugh at them at it, these things actually happen in our body. So their heart, both ours and theirs, goes to a resting rate. Our metabolism or gut health is better. Our digestion relaxes. Hi, welcome. We're just getting started. Our vision becomes more open and big picture. Our lungs have a more resting breath, so we can take full breaths. Hi, we're just starting. And this is more relevant to partner relationships, but we're more open to sexual arousal. Right? So far what we've talked about is when we have this emotional connection, a moment of it, right? Our brain takes it in, sends messages through the body, and the whole body relaxes. We feel calm, we feel comfortable. Our thoughts are clearer, right? We have more energy. We're actually more open to taking healthy risks because we feel good. We feel confident. You know this feeling in yourselves? Because it's a thing that actually happens in the body, throughout the nervous system. It was interesting, the University of Virginia did a study where they put people, Virginia, they put people in a MRI machine. And the first ones they put in by themselves and they watched the brain. The brain's lighting up like a 4th of July parade. And then the second ones they put through and they have someone hold their hand. And the brain still lights up, but not as much. And then the third group they put through holding the hand of a loved one. And the brain is the calmest. Right? It's the same part of the brain that used to activate when we were out hunting and gathering berries. Right? Now it is reactive to relationships we are in. Isn't that amazing? Right? You can feel it. Oh, that's sweet. Right? The smiles, the touch. Right? It calms the whole system. You'll hear me talk about it throughout our talk. Regulate. You feel regulated. You feel calm. Right? When we're vulnerable and somebody is there with us saying, hey, I got you. Tell me about it. Tell me what's going on. Right? Our system can calm down because we know we're not in it alone. And it works with partners too. This isn't unique to parent-child. This is also something that happens between partners. That's why when we're running in separate directions, we start to feel disconnected in our partnership, and then these funny things start to happen. Right? We look at each other kind of sideways, or we say something kind of snappy. And what we're saying is, my system doesn't feel that. Don't you want your husband or wife to look at you like that? Look at him just like hanging on her every word. Right? And she's open and she's thinking about it because she knows she doesn't have to talk fast. He's not going anywhere. Right? She knows he's going to be there listening. And our whole system calms down and like savors that moment like a truffle. In contrast, right? We may not think it, but sometimes this is what it feels like for our kids. Or our partner. And then we say, I didn't yell at you. I don't think you did yell at them. I think it was received and perceived that way. Right? And what we're going to do in these cases is either we're going to yell back or we're going to shut down. That's the typical two moves we do. Because now our system isn't in that calm, relaxed state anymore. Now we're going somewhere else. You'll hear me refer to this, and I refer to it in the book too, as dysregulated, right? Things start to shift. This is another, that shame and blame, right? You didn't do that. You should have done it different. Why'd you get a C? What's wrong with you? Right? When we do those things, say those things, our kids start to wonder if we're there. Am I alone? Do they understand me? Am I enough? And in those instances, you can imagine what happens to their confidence, what happens to their resiliency. Now, I want to be really clear. It's not like you say this once to them or you have a bad day and it's ruined their self-confidence. Like, don't take that message, right? This is a journey. It's all the years. It's just how much are we doing both? Right? So there's kind of two things. We want to be able to find where we can be attuned, right? Both be in this regulated state together. And then we also want to repair when we get in these kind of places, right? Because you're never not going to get here, right? Humanity's always going to go into danger mode, right? Dysregulation. It's how do we repair it? And I'll talk more about that later. And it happens in our couples too. And this is interesting because here you see not so much the yelling or the shame blame, but you're seeing more. She told me she was leaving. Yeah. Okay, thank you. This is a form of neglect, right? And neglect can be just as hard. We always say, oh, she's crazy because she's yelling and hollering all the time. Well, this is just as crazy. Because when somebody leaves us, is no longer talking, is no longer engaging, that abandonment, that neglect is also painful. And again, we're having a stress response. Let me see where I am here. Right, in this time, our brain gets the message, cortisol and adrenaline rush, right? The liver releases glucose, so now we've got an energy source, and we're either going to fight or we're going to run away, right? Stress response. And relationships can do that in a moment. You know, you hear your kid coming, especially the teenagers, because now you have a pattern. You hear certain footsteps and you're like, uh-oh. Right? Like we know when our husband comes in the door from a day at work in New York City, what his mood's gonna be. Right? He knows what our mood's gonna be if we've got 4 kids and we've cooked dinner and raced around, Ubered for the afternoon, and right? Like we get a sense after a while, and this can start without much trigger. We can almost get in front of it. And that's the body's very sophisticated way of saying, I got you. I'm gonna protect you. Right? And so let me get ready for what's coming. Okay, is this making sense? Any questions so far? Because if you take something away, like one thing you can take away. She didn't tell me.
I just talked to him during basketball practice.
Nobody's leaving. Right? Here, it's gonna increase sweating, right? Okay, so when we have increased sweating, the heart rate goes up, the liver, constipation, right? You know how many people come by and say like, I got constipation so bad, and we talk about their relationships and they're stressed out. Like your body stops producing, eliminating when you're stressed out, right? It's got to hold on. So it holds everything. And this is my favorite, the men will come in. And I'm glad you guys are here. Thanks for coming in. You guys get gold stars because this is what happens. A lot of women come, a couple dads, right? The women are supposed to go home and tell the dads, but I appreciate you guys being here. I have men and women in my office who want more sex, and they say, I want more sex. So the wife's had this day, or the husband's had this day, they say, now I want sex. What part of the system did they just activate? You have expectation of me. I'm exhausted. I'm ready for bed 3 hours ago, and now you want more of me, right? I have no sexual arousal. Foreplay, maybe I can get into it, right? But we can't, this is a good tip to take home. If you're the one pursuing sex all the time, what you want to do is create a system of calmness. You want your partner to be calm. So you have to figure out, how do I calm their nervous system, regulate them so they are calm and relaxed, because that's when they'll get aroused. Okay, but we're going to switch gears to the That's just probably, honestly, the question I get the most in my office. So I tried it. And I get it from women too, believe it or not. It's always like, oh, men get pocketed as the ones always. I get women that want it. Okay. So I love this idea of tweens. There's 4 unique things happening at this age. The brain is changing. They're experiencing deeper emotion. They're socially awkward. And they don't know how to handle any of it. Okay, so here's what's happening in the brain. That's awesome. The brain is blowing up with all this new neural sprouting, right? All these, and with that comes new thoughts, new ideas, new opinions, and it's coming fast. And it's furious. And this hasn't happened since infancy. This is the biggest brain growth since. So this is what their brain feels like to them. There's no order or sensibility to it. Hi, welcome. That's why they go upstairs to get that thing and come back without the thing. Or why they brush their teeth with water. It's kind of what, for jackets, although most of my things are just so heated up and like moving constantly and worrying that they're just now cold. But this is how kind of the brain feels inside. And you see it. Sometimes they come and they're so sophisticated and smart. And it's like, wow, that was a big idea. How did you put that together? And other times they come childlike and you're thinking, wow, I thought we were past this. So again, they're very much an ebb and flow going on inside their brain, and they're doing their best. It's just really wacky to them. And so you see a lot of emotion, right? With all this new brain growth, there's going to be deeper and more complex emotion. They're also in the world in a bigger way. What kids are doing at 3rd grade versus 6th grade is very different, right? And so they have all these feelings and they can come and go and shift and move. And doesn't it make sense? Because the brain starts its growth in the back, which is where the limbic system is, and that's where we house emotion and memory, right? The last place for the brain to grow is the prefrontal cortex. And you know what they do there? Think, decision make, analyze, right? That's the last part to get this overhaul. So it makes a ton of sense that there's all this emotion. Now, have you ever been under one of these? They're hot. Like it's really hot to be under these lights and you can't really see your audience. And this is kind of what they feel like most of the time, because they're still egocentric enough to think that they're the only thing everybody sees and that everybody can read their mind. But yet they have these big ideas and ideas about those around them. So it leaves them feeling very insecure and unsure. And so here they are, kind of not knowing which way to go. Again, 3rd grade looked very different. By 15, they've been around the block a few times. They've had a couple fights with their friends. They've had a couple academic whoopsies. They've had some trouble on the sports field. So they got a sense, they got a teeny tiny bit of wisdom. At 9, no wisdom, right? It's literally the first time they're going around the block. Okay, how are we doing? Is this making sense?
Mhm.
Questions about the tween brain? Yeah,
Just thoughts on, I have a 4th grade girl,
how old?
9.5.
Okay, yeah.
So on the verge of all this, and yet feels like I felt at 12 or 13. So just kind of the comparison between our experience as we grown up versus how it's just kind of filtered down to this younger age, it feels like.
Yes,
Any, like, why?
yes. So, like they all say, right? Social media. I mean, when you think about it, what they learn on TikTok and YouTube, and in all fairness, there's some cool stuff. Like my kids learn some pretty interesting things on those. They learn some great life hacks, right? And I'll say, what are you doing? He's like, life hacking. So there's some good stuff, but the sophistication that's involved in that stuff, the whole world is more sophisticated. They don't even have textbooks anymore. How are they learning? Right? There's something else going on. So over time, so social media and screens, number 1 and 2. And then just over time, we do change and evolve as humans, right? We aren't the same humans we were in the 20s, right? In the that's 2,000 years ago, right? So there's just an evolution that does take place. Side note, isn't it interesting? The limbic system is so powerful when it comes to this connection. As out of all the changes we do, the food we eat, you know what they feed us in America? I'm not talking about that today, but there's things in America we eat on a regular basis that they don't eat in Europe. You know, the way we prep and prepare our food, not you guys at home, you're doing an outstanding job. For that. Like where the food comes from, how it's processed, like I'm not gonna, right? But all those things, so there's a variety of things that are happening with that. And then like the academics are more rigorous, the sports. Our parenting practices are different than our parents' practice. How many Gen X in here?
I don't know what I am.
Gen X, if you were born 80 is the cutoff. So after 80,
Oh.
before 80, before 80, 70s. Are you 70s kid?
Yeah.
70s, late 60s, you're Gen X.
We're talking.
So that was a very different generation. Most of us were parented by boomers.
Yeah.
Right? The boomers. So it's like, you're taping. What do I want to say? Generally speaking, right? Bell curve. The boomers were a laid back parenting system, right? They maybe both worked. I think it's one of the highest divorce rates that we've seen. They did what they wanted to do. Their friends were their friends, not our friends, right? All of our friends are kind of our kid. Oh, we met them in preschool, right? And they didn't do that. It's like their friends were their friends. And we were kind of like side dishes, right? We were all playing in the streets and we were getting in trouble and we were seeing perverts at the park and like nobody was watching us.
It's amazing.
Everybody's got the pervert in the park story. It's weird. So fast forward, right? We come in to parenthood and we all felt neglected and unloved and unseen. So what do we want to make sure? Our kids are seen, they're heard, they're known, they're valued, that they know we love it. Do not make that decision. I got it right. Here's the right decision. You just hit on this and it'll go for you. If you just let me do it for you, I will take care of you. And the problem is we've gotten, and again, bell curve. So if this isn't you, then it doesn't apply. But we've gotten a little too, let me make decisions for you. Let me take care of you. Let me do all of that. I don't want you. I hear this all the time. Biggest statement next to sex in my office is, I want my kid to be happy. You do not want your kid to be happy, and I'll go into why. Right? But we do, in all fairness, because we want them to feel love. We don't want them to feel the emptiness we felt. You know how many of us sat in like this dysregulated state as a kid, wishing somebody saw us? Right? We're kind of the generation that did the best with COVID because we're like, hey, I've been here before. All by myself with nothing to do. Like, that's a child. Okay. But what we do want to do, and I kind of forgot why I went off on that. Why they're different, right? Why they're different, right? So our parenting practices matter too. Was the long-winded way of saying it. Okay, so what we've got so far, and this is a piece where you can take these little tips home. We really want to try to regulate our system, regulate their system. When we dysregulate, which is going to happen, we just want to repair that, right? We want to, and what that shows them is, I care about you. It shows them 4 things. Here we go. I see you. I want to know you. I am here for you, and I will keep you safe. So these are the 4 pillars we're going to talk about. So this is my husband and my daughter. Ski. That's the best place to see a whole bunch of dysregulation. She's negotiating for the 4th hot chocolate of the day, right? What I love about it is he's making time, right? The skis are off. He's not like, come on, let's go. Right? He's really standing there with her because she's wrapped around his finger, or he's wrapped around her finger. And he's talking to her. He's meeting her where she is, right? He's looking at her, he's on her turf, and he's listening to her perspective. Right? How this could look at home is you go in their room and hang. How many of you hang in your kids' room? It's one of my favorite things. I like to clean it up a little bit. But to hang on their turf, because what if they let us in and let us sit and hang, what they're saying is you're safe to me. And that's exactly what we want. That's regulation. Okay, so why is this important? I see you. Listen to their perspective. When they share their perspective, they are practicing thinking through the ideas. That's something we're missing in this generation. They don't have to think. Think about it. They think about school and athletics, but besides that, we do a lot of thinking for them. But when they have to think through an idea, tell me about that. What was that like for you? Was it this or that? I'll get into some of these. They have to think, come up with a thought, and then communicate it out. And when they do that, they hear themselves out loud and they start to assess because they're so judgy. Do I sound legit or not? Do I like how I sound? if we just give them all the answers, they don't do that thinking process, which is crucial for their development. And they're more likely then to assert their voice. They're going to be the kid that does raise their hand and speak, or try that different sport, or go out for that thing that they may not have, or their friends don't want to do, because they feel confident, right? They feel like their voice matters. So eye contact, watching the tone, right? That megaphone from earlier. Some fellas just have big boisterous voices. And they don't mean for that to be big boisterous voice. It just is. But that can be dysregulating if all day long you've been around kids and kids talking and moving and running, and then you go home and you have a dad that has this big voice, right? Body language, right? How do we engage with our kids? Are we, top down? Do we hang and sit? How often do you sit on your couch? Anyone sit on their couch?
Yeah, sure.
I'm serious. There's a lot of people that have couches they never use because they're moving. But when you sit and you hang on your couch, who sits on it at 5? You're doing it. Right? Because that says like, right, I'm safe. I'm safe, you're safe. We can enjoy each other. Reducing multitask. I distinguish here between the multitask of I'm running and you're behind, or I'm talking to you from the other room. Everybody's talking from the other room. Not that kind of multitasking doesn't connect us. The kind that does connect us is going in the car, right? Driving them to their sports, walking the dog, making dinner together. They're at the island, maybe they're doing a little math and we're right there and we're like, yeah, that looks right. I don't know, because I like 5th grade math is right. Right, but we're kind of in task together versus multitasking away. Does that make sense? So questions, because how do you engage with them? Curious questions. I love these. If you want to tell them the answer, ask it in a question. So why did you get a C on that? Versus, oh, I saw you got a C on that. How'd that feel for you? Now he's got to think about what that C felt like, right? Me telling, wow, we don't get C's in this house. Like, wait, I don't know what's going to happen. You need extra help. Do you want me to sign you up with a tutor? You want the tutor? Right? We lost them. They're like, right? But it's curious, and I am curious. Do you care if you got a C? Maybe you don't care, right? Maybe you don't, and that's interesting. Like, let's talk about that. Do you not care about C's in general, or do you not care about C's in just this class? Right? These are curious questions. I want to know what goes on in your little brain. I want to know how you think about the world. I want to know your perspective. This or that. This is a great way to help them learn language. Well, I mean, were you embarrassed when you walked up to the girls and they were all talking? Or were you kind of paranoid they were talking about you? Or like when that happened in gym class, were you embarrassed because all the kids started laughing? Or were you giddy because you made the class laugh? Very different meaning. Right? We want to, again, get at like, what's your experience? And sometimes we can give them language in that way. And again, they have to think through it to answer the question. It's a little bit more structured than the open-ended, right? And the other one that works like a charm with this age is, correct me if I'm wrong. What'd you have for lunch today? That'll get you nowhere. But if you say, so I noticed you had pizza today, but that was on the calendar, right? Pizza was on the lunch menu today? No, we did not. We had burgers today, and my burger didn't even taste good. You know what Jimmy did with his burger? He threw that thing at this other kid, and then the lunch lady came and told us both we had to clean up the table. You get more data if they can correct you. There's nothing they like more than correcting us. So if you give them opportunities, often you will engage. Okay. I want to know you. Don't you want to know what she's thinking? Look at those eyes. what's going on in that brain. This is where we deeper dive. We make space and I see you. And here we deeper dive into what is life like for you? What are your emotions? We connect the dots between thoughts, feeling, and emotion, and we help give them language. We also do it by how we model emotion. It's okay to say, I'm super exhausted and I'm kind of off the clock now. And if we engage, I'm probably going to get up. I'm just telling you, I'm so tired. Right? What we're telling them is we're modeling how to express emotion. And why is this helpful? They learn how to express, they learn how to regulate, they start to develop empathy. Because when they can talk about their feelings, we go, oh, that makes a ton of sense. Thanks for sharing with me. They start to feel what it's like to be empathized for. Right? And then it builds their confidence because they start to understand themselves. If they get all angry and like off the rocker and throw their shoe at the wall, we're like, stop it. Right? What did they just learn? And you think they're never going to throw that shoe again? They'll throw that shoe again, right? Versus, whoa, you can't throw stuff in here, right? But like, what's going on? Are you pissed about that thing or because you lost the game? Right? Whoa, and sometimes you give it a minute and then it's like, I mean, do we throw shoes here? Should we all start doing that? Do you like that idea? Does that work? Right? It kind of depends on what your kid jams with. If humor works, you have a lot of options. If your kids are more serious, you got to go more with the like, something more like, wow, those are really big emotions. Do you want to talk about it? Or are you angry? Are you hurting? Are you hungry? Can I make you snack? Like, you have to kind of play with where your kids are, but it's this idea of giving them language so that they can start expressing their emotion or forget expressing at this point, understanding it, which gives confidence. I make sense to me. Okay, so pacing conversation. This is that idea of if they're angry, like that one I just gave through a shoe, I'm probably not going to get far with them. I got to pace that. As much as I want to lose my mind on them for like scrapping up my wall and the whole thing, I'm not going to get anything out of that. Right? I'm going to pace the conversation. I'm going to come back to it when they're calmer. Same thing. If I'm heated and I need to go do something else so I can pace it. If we start out good and I see we've taken a turn and maybe I'm dysregulating, maybe they're dysregulating. I didn't catch that. Say it again. Right? I just bought myself a few seconds there and that gives our system time to cool down. If you're one that talks fast and doesn't really pause between sentences, this is a great tip. I didn't get it. What? No, just wait. And maybe they give you nothing, which is fine too, but at least we've had a moment where all our systems have calmed down a bit. I get it. You're in a tough spot. Let me start dinner and let's circle back. Which is very different than I can't believe you do that. That's so ridiculous. I'm out of here. I'm gonna go make dinner. You know, some of you have kids, I'll be like, no, maybe why maybe, right? And they'll follow you. What they're saying is I'm dysregulated, I'm looking for regulation. But I don't know that because I'm not. So naming, feeling, scaling it. I love like the scaling. Especially, you know, girls. A lot of the girls, mean girls stuff definitely starts. And it's like, tell me the story. Tell me what happened. And then who did what? Was that Ginny or Janie? Janie did that? Were you embarrassed? Like a little embarrassed, like maybe a 2? No, I was just mad. Yeah, I know they're talking about. Oh, were you bad like an 8, 6? Like how, right? What we're trying to teach them is there's little feelings and there's big feelings. And sometimes when there's little feelings, they turn into big feelings. Right? You're embarrassed. Doesn't it make sense? So you were probably kind of embarrassed and it turned to anger. Could that be? No, that wasn't it. Right now you're going to correct me because I'm wrong. I was really mad because she did that to me last week. Oh, so there's a betrayal going on. And most people, when you nail the feeling, we're all like, yes, because there's a feel of relief. It's like, oh, that does make sense to me. So I do love the scaling. Hi, little feeling, big feeling. And then we get into like, you know, and we can say it for ourselves. I'm so tired. I'm like a 9 tired. Right? I just cannot engage. You know what I'm like at a 9, right? Welcome. Oh, and I love this one. We work really hard solving their problems. Let them work through it. Ask those questions to get them to think. Okay, so you felt a little betrayal by Susie because that's the second time she's done that, and it doesn't feel good. And then the other girls kind of get on board and laugh about it. Like, what are your options? What do you think you want to do? What have you done before? What do you see other girls do? Do you want to do this or that? You want to try this? And that could be either I like that idea or no, I'm going to correct you. Right? But either way, we're engaging and they're doing the work of thinking, right? Putting words to it and then putting it out into the world. I am here for you. So this is kind of 3 pieces. It's 1, family time. 2, community time. We lost neighborhood, right? We've lost neighborhood, a lot of us. But community and then exposing to the bigger world. Why? It gives them a sense of security. I'll go out and try things that are hard because I know I got a tribe that has my back. And if it's just me in the world alone, I'm a little more timid. But if I know like people are going to support me, I'll do things that are a little more risky, right? Healthy, positive risks. And the other thing is we want them to learn to bring kids to the table. One of the tough things I think, you know, I can speak for Darien, I'd imagine here is we don't have a lot of diversity. And so our kids get a little stuck on this one where they're just not exposed to a bigger melting pot like we had in New York City. Everyone from Darien came from New York City, right? And like it was such rich culture and there was so much diversity and curiosity of different things and different languages. And our kids, if we want to expose them to that kind of stuff. And I find these, like my community is a little hard now. But what it does is it makes them more comfortable around people that aren't like them. Instead of them teasing and taunting people that are different, they're engaged, they include them because they start to learn, oh, you have something interesting to bring to the table. Bless you. So how do we do it? Hang, laugh, spend downtime together. This was kind of the beauty of COVID, is we got downtime. My 13-year-old said last week, he's like, I wonder, do I need another pandemic or I'd like some COVID time?
Interesting.
Think about that. Like you want, right, this or that. You want to get sick or you want to go to school with you. No, I just want to like hang and not have to be there. Right? How that's fun. Wake up Saturday morning and just sit around till 11:30. That changed. Right? These kids are kind of up and moving by 8, 9, 9:30, right? But where's your time to hang? Dad, that's a big one. You guys matter. They want to hang with you. Bring them in. This one around do hard things together, you can teach them so much and they hang on every word. Because moms often are around a lot. And I know I'm a working mom. So there are working moms. Bell curve, dads a lot of times are working. They're coming home late. Mom's been with them all day. Like they really care what you think and they want to learn from you. Even your daughters. So dads are really important in this process. Sometimes moms are so competent, we just do it all. But we want you guys involved. Is that fair? And I know some are, it's bell curve, the whole thing. I don't, but it's a really important one. Creating rituals and family shorthand. So this is that idea of what are your rituals? If you're the only one doing dinner and cleanup every night, you need a different ritual. right? And maybe it's Wednesday night, everybody's home and has dinner together, and then dad and the kids clean up. Right, and that's Wednesday. Unless the rare instances where it can happen, but it's rare. Right, or maybe Saturday mornings, we drive to Starbucks. Right, and we do that. Or maybe Saturday afternoon after the soccer practice, dad and daughter go do that thing. But like, what are our rituals? Not just our holiday rituals, but our weekly rituals that we can count on, that we can look forward to. And they can be little, right? It's like, we found this at my 6-year-old, it's for little kids, if you have little ones, story times. And they're like these 10-minute stories of like history, culture, people, places, and things. Fantastic. And we sit and we listen to this. This is a new ritual we have. And we look forward to it. Right? Before, like, come on, it's time for back. Right now it's like, yeah, I'll go because our ritual is about to start. Right? What does that do to the nervous system? The art of apology. This is a good one. Our parents said, you didn't need to apologize. I am the parent. Right? We do a couple things when we apologize. We repair disconnection. So if we're in a lot of conflict with our kids and we never name that, right? They start to wonder if they can trust us. And then they don't share as much. They clam up, right? They're definitely not sharing emotion. Maybe they're giving us only anger. But when we teach them, like, I'm human, I got dysregulated, my fault, that's not yours to own, my bad. We model for them how to apologize, and then we help regulate our systems, attune our systems to trust. Does that make sense? And then the other piece, and I hear this a lot from kids in my office, it's like, if we keep doing the same thing over and over and over and over, we got to look at that. Because they pick up on that. And they pick up on, you said you were sorry, but you keep doing it. And I don't mean twice, I mean like it's a repeated pattern. And I'll come back to that in the end. And then expanding the ideas and the exposure to culture, I think is just so important for it. And then the last one, I'll keep you safe. So this is that safety security stuff. Boundaries are essential for safety in an unpredictable world. Obviously, natural consequences are our best friend. We don't use that friend enough. Why? Because limits encourage self-discipline, delayed gratification, and decision making. So if they know there's a boundary, they're either going, hi, buddy, and I'm your tell me if this makes sense. Right? That's so on cue right there. What I say on this is be clear up front about what the boundary is and why. I say pick 2 boundaries. Anything more than that is a lot to parent. Pick 2, really get good at those. It becomes part of the vibe of the relationship. And then you can move on to the next ones. But if you're trying to boundary 5 things, you're going to lose track and you're going to get exhausted and they're going to get mad. And you're sometimes going to do it and other times not. And then they're going to be harder to manage because they know if they push hard enough, you'll forget or move on. So have your boundaries clear and upfront, right? Not when we're like an impulse of anger. Hey, that way for a month now. Sometimes I hear my husband say, I'm like, oh, you want to parent that? Like, we don't want to parent that. 2 days. I'm like, I'm taking it for an hour. I can do an hour. I'm gonna make you spend time with me too. Right? That's what I can manage. Like, keep it something you can really manage. Consistency, and because consistency and follow through is like the key. Right? And that's where most of I'm tired. Right? 9:30, you want me to parent? Right? I've been up and running all day. That's not going to happen. So I'm not going to put myself in that position. Failure is the best lesson. And this is part of that Gen X thing where we kind of hold our kids from failing. Even writing that for me was hard because I'm like, well, I'm failing. That sounds so like off the cliff. right? Fail, error. I always go, let them error, right? It sounds so much softer. But this is the time. They're not having sex yet. They're not drinking yet. They're not in, y'all look at them like he's never heard that word. They're not driving yet. That's the time where you want them to feel what it's like to, right? Like, because that's where they learn, oh, I don't like this feeling. Being told in front of the class, I don't like this. Going to the principal's office, I don't like that. The kid laughing at me because I had to be removed. Ooh, right? We want them to kind of feel that pain. It's lessons. If we shield them from all of that, they miss out on important lessons. And how to handle the I don't care. Right? I don't care either. I'm not doing this because I want you to care. That's kind of a comment that just flows by. I don't really attach to that. It's like, I don't think you do care, or maybe you do. You could either get curious about it or just let it go. But a lot of us start changing our parenting tactics when we hear, I don't know, fine, I'm going to do it for longer. You don't really need to. Right? They're talking, they're kind of, they're just emotion, right? That's emotion. And that's where they're going. Okay, what do we think of these four? I see you.
Hear you.
I want to know you. I am here for you. I will keep you safe. A lot of people parents will start with the I keep you safe. It works best if you have the other three first. So if like you're always multitasking, you're not home, you're telling your kid not to get angry, stop that anger. You don't do much as a family, and then you come in with some rules, they're gonna look at you like they're not having it, right? But if they trust you and they know that you're connected and you get them, they're a little more moldable, right? Trust takes us a long way, both in our parent-child and our person. Okay, so let's hit this fast. Like I said, we're only going to give ourselves a few minutes. This is interesting though. So it's like, I know this stuff. What do I do when I get dysregulated? Right? And this is this idea. I always talk about, oh, your soil's coming up. People in sessions like, there's your soil, right? And what I'm saying is we build a house, we put some kids in it and a partner, and then our brain starts to scan, where have I been in this scenario before? And it goes back to childhood. Right? So now it brings in our family of origin stuff. It goes back through to K through 12, right? And whatever was going on in that system. There's a whole nother interesting Gen X. And then it goes into other relationships and current relationships. And so there's these times where our brain automatically says, this is super dangerous, right? I had a guy today and he said, you know, my son likes this girl and they play tag, they're 11. They play tag and they hang out and giggle and laugh. And then one day I didn't see it and I got triggered. And then I started wondering, like, well, what's going on? And I want to get all in my son's business or what's going on? Like, the girl, are you okay? Are you okay? And he's doing all these, you know, like, whole thing. And he's like, I get what happened. I remember back when I was 6th grade and Nicole, I asked her to go with me and she said no. And like, I was heartbroken. We like talked every day in art class. And he could recall, like, that thing is bugging me. And I worry that this girl is going to do a Nicole on him. And like, mind blowing, good for him that he could see that. Because we all have these little things in our soil, right, that come up in our parenting. All of us. And if you don't think so, then you just don't know. Because we have memory, and our memory efficiently comes up and says, be careful. This is dangerous. It's going to hurt, so don't touch the stove. Right? And we have all sorts of memories like that. And our goal is threefold: self-compassion, awareness, and soothing. So this idea of self-compassion is being gentle. You know, people can be really hard on themselves and really like beat themselves up and go through this negative shame cycle. Like, don't do that. You're way too beautiful and good and meaningful to get into that shame cycle. right? Instead, we do want to come with this sense of compassion for ourselves. A lot of people treat their friends better than they treat themselves, right? They're hard on themselves. They're drill sergeants inside. Awareness, slowing down. What is that that's coming up for me? He was amazing today. He was able to say, like, I knew this feeling, and when I really thought about it, it took me back to Nicole. Right? A mom says in session, she's like, you know, these girls are mean to me, and then I worry that, you know, the relationship is going to be like me and my mom. So then I just appease them, you know, and I just like explain to them why I'm trying and I'm doing and I'm not. And I'm all burned out and exhausted because I'm trying so hard to get them to like me, and they just keep giving me feedback they don't like me. Right? And what she's doing is trying to not have the same relationship with her girls she has with her mom. But guess what she's creating? The same relationship. Because the brain's going, oh my gosh, this is dangerous. You better explain. You better tell them. You better like pull them in. Right? And that pulling in is stressful for the kids. Your anxiety that you're bringing right now, mom, isn't working for me. Back up. And then what do you think she does when she gets that feedback? Double down. Right? Oh my gosh, I see you pulling away. That's scary. So those are two examples. There's thousands of examples though, where those little inner children of us, the soil we come from, K through 12th grade. Every time I go into a school, I didn't get it here though. Normally when I go into school, I'm like all panicked. Oh my gosh, they're going to ask me to read out loud. Right? How did I hate reading out loud in school? And it was that first grade teacher that like called me out and embarrassed me in front of the class. And I still feel it today. Hate reading in class. Feel it every time I go in an elementary school. I think I fell in the middle. Okay, so naming that, like that was so embarrassing, right? It tells me I'm not very good. I know the root of it. And then this soothing place, it's like, how do you calm those places? How do you take time for yourself to really look at how you're doing? What's your soil? Do you make time for yourself? Are you engaged in relationships that are toxic, but you don't want to say no because you just want to be nice? Right? Do you use your voice? Do you assert things that you need? Because those are the things we want to heal, and we feel better, and then we have that better energy that's coming. Does that make sense? What do we think of the soil? Does it make sense? Like, do you think, oh yeah, I know my soil. I got some edge up in there. Where are you going? Okay, thanks for coming. Okay, all right. At least you got it. Okay, question, thought, comment. Yeah, oh. Thank you.
I have a question.
Yes,
There was on one of your slides, there was this point of like, I'm not gonna articulate it right, but like the feeling that you've lost them or like out of my room kind of thing. And it's with my older one. So and so she's like 14, sticking with the age thing.
oh yeah,
So
girls are tough.
yeah. Do you just let that go? Do you,
So what is she doing? She goes in a room?
yeah, she goes in there. Yeah.
So that's a great, I like that you bring that up because you always want to ask yourself, is this developmentally appropriate? Right? Or is this a relational problem? And here's how you know the difference. If you go in, right, and think of kids, the teens, especially as cats. You guys have cats? Nobody in your end is cats. So, okay, so like you go, you're not, hey, what you doing? I'm on my phone, right? Nothing. Like, why don't I just come? Hey, I brought my computer. I'm gonna work. While you're working, can we do that, right? And like cats, you like saunter in, right? If you come blazing in, hey, what are you doing? Right, make some space for yourself and just like sit on the edge. But I'm on my computer. I'm working. I got a couple of emails. I got Facebook. And I'm doing me. like, that is, if they're mad at you, they will not allow that, right? If they're developmentally appropriately in their room, be like, come on, serious? 3 minutes. I think I gotta move on anyway. I noticed when you then, now what, did you need a ride tomorrow in mine? Right? They'll engage, but you see the cat effect here, it's like you're kind of tiptoeing in, the dog, right? The dog comes rushing in all over. They don't want that. But the difference is if they're mad at you or they don't trust you, they feel a disconnect, you dysregulate their system, they're less likely to engage or let you stay. Even if you approach like a cat. Whereas if they're into you and they like you and there's a secure bond there, they will kind of entertain you a little bit because they got a little empathy now, right? They've been around the block a minute. They're not gonna let you stay long, right? But they'll let you kind of have a question or two. If it's interesting to them, this is to be on their turf. If you're talking about, hey, I saw this. I love when my kid sends me TikTok videos because that's my in. Hey, I saw that TikTok video today. Okay, but let me just tell you what I thought of it. Or I had a question about it, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. That guy about this? They'll let you in if it's secure. Whoops. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you.
Cats.
And watching TikTok. Their life, not with you or what are those?
Yeah. I think it's 30 words or less. You know, it's like you watch their affect, right? I see you. It's like, do they come home, go straight to their room? Are they not talking to other family members? Are they refusing to come down to dinner? Is it hard to get them up?
So it's like if they're all the other behaviors are out.
Right? It's not just like one right track. They might be having problems at school, right? So like now it's happening in different areas. They don't want to go to their sport, or their coach is like, they're not really trying. You kind of see it in other places. You know the look on their face, right? You know the look when they're like satisfied, disgruntled, and stressed, right? And so it's like if they're always in that stress, then it's like, hey, I was gonna run to Starbucks. You want to come? You know, if you know, like I get always up for that. So and then now I've got a captive, right? And I got 15 minutes to kind of poke around to get in the cat approach, right? Like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. Are you exhausted or is it just me? Right? No, I'm not exhausted. Good, okay. Anything else going on? Do you think, you can kind of use the this or that with 14, so but they're cats, right? It's like 2 cats. Do you, I feel like I haven't seen you all week. Has your week been going good? Or would you say, we do a lot of, was this week a win, lose, or draw? I have a 6-year-old that's gonna give me a run for my money. And so like, I can get that out of her. I'm like, how was your day? And she'd be like, what do you mean? How did you do? If I go, how was your day? How was your day? Win, lose, or draw? She'll be like, she won't even give the word. She's just like, thumbs up. She'll give me her like, thumbs up. Was it because you got to see your friends or you had your favorite special? Right, I really like those questions. It's a way to kind of form where am I trying to go. So to get back to your question, it's like making time to assess them, right? Observe them in their surroundings. If all of a sudden you haven't seen, you know, Kate come over for a few weeks, it's like, oh, I haven't seen Kate in a while. Anything happen there? No. All right. Maybe she has been over and I just haven't been around. No, she hasn't been around. Right, because they're going to correct you. They cannot help but correct you if you're wrong. They really don't want to give you the information. So, you know, so I guess the the point I'm trying to make is it's like over time, what are we seeing? Right? It's so normal to go up to the bedroom. But if they seem to be in a mood, they seem to be here. Where you going? Okay. If I'm shading people. Sometimes play can come off different, right? It's not about how you put it out there, it's about how it's received. Okay, other questions? Yeah.
Can you talk some about the mean girl stuff and just like being a good listener, intervening, like letting them come up with their own solutions on stuff versus like what are some options, talking to their families or the school and all that stuff.
Yeah, yes, all of that. Mean Girls is the big one that brings up our soul. Right? Because back in the day, bullying was happening and everyone was like, "Tucker." So, well, I'm sure you've heard that, right? So, Mean Girls. I have a piece of it in the book, and my editor and I talk a lot about this one, like ad nauseum, because we're like, what is that? On some level, when you're talking 9, 10, and look, oh, it's interesting though. I saw these preschool girls doing a mean girl thing. So even at that age, they were already practicing that behavior. What I'd say is there's something instinctual about like divide and conquer. Now, as they get into like tweens and teens, why are they still doing it? Like older tweens. I think some of it in the younger tweens is kind of acting out behaviors, trying on different things. They'll try on different hats, if you will, different voices, different ideas, different solutions, different language, right? Phrases, because they're trying on to see what fits. It's back to that spotlight. I'm awkward. I don't know what to do. So I'm going to try on some things. Sometimes I think kids are struggling and they don't have the words for it. And so they pick on somebody, right? And they're kind of outputting there because I can't output to my parents because they're going to yell or whatever. So I'm going there. My parents are getting divorced. There's a lot of conflict in my family. I don't know how to talk about it. I don't have anyone to talk to, right? I don't have a community. And so I'm going to take it on that girl right there. Or you got a nice looking family and a nice situation and I'm jealous, so I'm going to take it out of it. Like there's all these things, right? And so I do like, how do you work it out? What do you want to do? What have you tried? What do others do? What do others do? Why don't you try it? And then I'd be sure to follow up. Hey, did you see her today? How'd that go? Because we're in it. When I get involved, it's like, they're trying and they've done their due dil. They've really put some effort in. Then, or it's like really bothering them. And when I mean really bothering them, like they don't want to go to that class. They're like in the bathroom for most of that class. Like they're literally avoiding. Then I'd go either the school route or the parent route. When do I go which? Kind of depends on like, middle school, you don't have so much access to the teachers, but I'd still go there. I don't like bullies. I think life is hard enough. We don't need that. So I tend to err more on, I'm coming for you. I'm going to tell your mom. I'm going to tell your dad. I'm going to tell your teacher. I'm going to really put it out. I'm going to blast it out there. Or not in social media, right? Of course. But we're going to take care of this. We're going to have a sit down. We're going to and part of it too is the school. It's like, what are you doing? Right? That you're allowing this. What are I'm just curious. Right now I'm going to go on this whole curious questions with the school. Help me understand your policies and procedures around this situation, because we've done these things which sound like the way to start and nothing's happened, right? I'm not sending my kid to a school where they feel safe every day. So help me understand how you're going to get involved. Or here's what I need you to do. Are you willing to do that? Those are hard. And I'm saying so big picture on that because I know there's so many nuances that like take you down a different trail. Sometimes you'll have a parent that's not helpful, right? They're not going to be helpful. And so then your ally is going to be more the school. Sometimes you got a good parent that really is going to get involved, or maybe you got a great parent, but they don't know what to do, right? if you go to church together or you have another forum together, get the coach involved. Some of those aren't helpful, right? So it's like, who's going to be your ally in this? Do you know the kid? Right? Some of these kids are in my house. Right now, the bully's probably not going to be in your house, but if I have access to them, right, I'll just sit them down. I would say, tell me what's going on here. You know, I'm hearing this. Where am I getting it wrong? You can't possibly be doing this, right? Help me now. So different angles, yeah.
Does it change if you change the gender? Because there's not only, you get similar situations happen with boys, but they don't always talk about it as much. So you end up, same problem, but does that? how
I'd
does
say,
that alter
I'd
things?
say the same of what I just said. You know, I have a boy, so I usually think in boy terms. You know, we had a parent call me, and then she called the school about something my son had said on the bus. And like, yeah, right, so we talked to him, let's see, we're gonna be active on it. It's so hard, I mean, kids, you know, and it's like, you know, you talk about it, does that mean it resolves? No. So to your, you know, the other point is, even boys or girls, we continue to have some conversation. You know, and sometimes, you know, K through 12, and you can't understand this until you're 40, but K through 12 is a small drop in the bucket. And there's so much more in life. And some kids aren't really meant to thrive K through 12. They're just never, they're not going to thrive. Where they're going to thrive is college or adulthood, right? Some people kill it in adulthood that were really awkward or unusual or bullied. That adversity gives them abilities later, right? So that's kind of that do hard things, right? Let them have adversities. And I do talk about that then with my kids, that that's an adversity. What's that like for you? I'm not going to lecture. Adversities are a good thing, because then when you're 40, you're going to love it. And then you're going to punch it out, right? Soil issue. But we can say, like, you know, adversities are hard because on the one hand, it hurts a lot. And then, like, what comes of it? Do you think anything comes of it? You know, like, you're hurting so much today. Remember Sally last year was hurting a lot? Where is she now? That's interesting. Remember how the beginning of the year, you and Sally were on the outs and now you're friends? And then you learn Sally's parents, you know, the dad's a drunk or whatever, right? A drinker. See how now we're starting to create a wisdom trail, right? Like, see how things happen. And then sometimes that's like, if they're a little removed from the pain, if they're super hard into it, then it's more like, oh my gosh, that's terrible. That sounds awful. I'm just so sorry you're going through it. Does it happen like every class or certain classes? And where are the other things related? And what's worked so, right? And like, keep it easy. We don't want to tell it, like, even just what I did is too many questions at once, but one or two, and then pace. So sorry, that sounds awful.
You want to talk about it?
Okay, yeah, so these are fun. We've started these, I've done a couple of them, I love these. They're small family groups, so at least 2 people in the family come. There's 3 sessions, you don't have to come to all 3. We're doing them at the library here in New Canaan, 5th of March, 12th, and 19th. And we'll talk about different themes from the book. And what we do is it's a little mini lecture, and then you'll do some stuff with your family, and then we'll come back and talk about some things as a large group. So it's so, like, these are my new favorite thing, because they're not quite therapy, but they're so rich, and the conversations that are coming from families are just rich, and it's this time and space to talk with kids and talk with your partner about things that probably don't come up on a regular basis. So if you want to come to any of those, where are they? They're on your website?
Yeah, they're on the website. So
On this
and also-
thing.
Yeah, so we have little bookmarks for you.
She made these, they're so cute.
On the back, it says date and time, and also there's a QR code, so you can sign up for it, and you can sign up for 1, 2, or 3, whatever you would like. It's an opportunity to dive in with your kids first. And the library is really excited to host you.
All right, 2 questions and then we'll go.
I'm just gonna ask what's like the ideal age of children. Is that-
9 to 12. I've had 6, that's a little young, they get a little bored, you know, teenagers would enjoy it. Use that term lightly. Do you have something?
Yeah, I think a quick question. So, a lot of the relationships that you've been talking about tonight have been like binary between, you know, a father, son, or a mom, daughter. When you have, so I have 3 kids, and, you know, birth order is interesting in terms of how, like, if my oldest is 9 and my youngest is 9, they're very different 9s. Because they're exposed to different things. But the other thing that I was thinking about is that when you talk about these sort of like rituals, sometimes you can have a ritual as a family going to a diner or whatever, but it seems like some of the best connections are when you have sort of one-on-ones with your kid. And so I found some situations where I've had conversations with my kid and my wife comes in the room and it kind of blows things up. And I was, and vice versa. It's not her,
Yeah.
it's just the notion of kind of 3 in a room really kills things. And I'm curious, is that like a common thing?
Yeah, that was in my office earlier. You know, absolutely. Absolutely. And part of that is like reading the room. Right? What am I walking into? And ideally, you know, we walk in, we see something happening and then, you know, we move out. Right? In all fairness, and like to then take that back later to your partner and say, hey, I appreciate you came in and you're involved, like sandwich approach, right? I appreciate you're involved. I like that you came in. The timing was tough. I was so enjoying my conversation and it kind of changed when you got there. Next time, if you could maybe read the room a little different. It just felt like a miss for me. Does that make sense? Right? So you're kind of giving some feedback in a way that's gentle. And as a partner, we gotta like take the feedback sometimes, like, yeah, fair enough. I
Yeah,
get
no,
it.
I think it's fine. Like, I think we both recognize that. But what I'm thinking about is like, so I think what I felt is that like building those connections happens a lot more like effectively one-on-one. And so do you have situations where it does work with 3 or with 2 parents and 1 kid, or is it best to just sort of do the one-on-one thing and just sort of tag team it?
It's a both and, you know, both and. Like certainly if you both love tennis, right, go for it, right? Don't bring mom into that. That's a great opportunity for you two to connect. But then there are things where, you know, like think about some are only children, right? So of course that threesome is usually a threesome. And what often I get in my office is how do we make the kid a kid and we be parents, right? Because we kind of enmesh into one subsystem. So it's like the dance, right? I love where you're going because it's like, what are our rituals? Where can like we dance over here as a family? Where do we dance over here as 2? You know, how, you know, me and my daughter are gonna get the weekend together. Me and my son get along great because he's kind of me. So I understand him, I get him. Right? So it's like you're thinking about like, how do I make all these relationships? I had a woman in the family group say I have 4 kids. Like, how do I, it's like, yeah, you gotta think about, okay, who's gonna demand the walk home from school? Because that's who you're gonna talk with. And then you're gonna get home and who's gonna get the snack time talk?
Yeah.
Right? And those 2 don't get along, so you're probably not gonna put them at the table at snack time together. These 2 love to do math together. Right? So we'll sit down and do math, the 3 of us. So it's like knowing your kid and where we can all fit in. Fair?
Yeah, that's helpful. Thank you.
Okay, good, good. Okay. Thank you.
Oh, you were.